Someone is carrying words for you that they can't figure out how to deliver. And the difficulty they're experiencing in finding the right approach reveals how much what they need to say actually matters to them. Not casual information they're withholding carelessly, not simple statement they could make but choose not to. Complex communication, vulnerable expression, truth that feels risky to speak. They know what they want to tell you. They've rehearsed it mentally countless times. They've drafted and deleted messages. They've picked up phone and put it down without calling. They've opened their mouth to speak in your presence and closed it again when courage failed. The knowing what to say is clear. The knowing how to say it remains elusive. And their struggle? That's significant data. People don't agonize over delivering casual information. Don't spend weeks or months wrestling with phrasing of insignificant statements. The difficulty indicates depth, indicates fear about how you'll respond, indicates recognition that once spoken, once delivered, the dynamic shifts permanently. They can't unring bell, can't take back words, can't return to before you knew state. That permanence is exactly what makes them struggle. In the particular paralysis of wanting to speak but not knowing how, they're trapped between need for expression and fear of consequence, between desire for honesty and anxiety about vulnerability, between hope you'll receive well and terror you'll reject or judge or respond in ways that create the damage they're trying to avoid through careful delivery. Every potential approach seems wrong. Every imagined conversation ends poorly. Every rehearsal reveals new way it could go badly. Let me illuminate what someone might be struggling to communicate to you. In the psychology of communications that create paralysis, certain categories consistently generate this level of difficulty. Love confessions top the list. Someone trying to tell you they have feelings. That casual friendship has become something more for them. That attraction they've been concealing has reached point where concealment feels impossible. They don't know how to say I love you or I want more than friendship without risking the relationship you already have if you don't feel similarly. Your reality might include someone wrestling with exactly this romantic confession. They've been your friend, your colleague, your acquaintance, and somewhere along the way, their feelings changed. Now they're stuck. Silence protects current connection but prevents desired connection. Speaking creates possibility of reciprocation, but also possibility of rejection that damages or ends what currently exists. They're paralyzed between these outcomes, between staying safe and risking everything. Notice anyone in your sphere who seems unusually nervous around you lately, who creates moments that feel like they might be building towards something but then backs away, who starts sentences and doesn't finish them, who seems to have more to say than what they're saying, um, who looks at you like they're trying to communicate telepathically because actual words won't come. These behavioral markers often signal someone struggling with unspoken confession. Some people struggling to communicate are holding painful truths, admissions that will hurt, information that will disappoint, realities that contradict what you believe. They know telling you will cause you pain, will damage your trust, will change how you see them or situation or someone else. They want to protect you from that pain, but they also recognize you deserve truth even when truth is painful. They're torn between protection and honesty. You might have someone in your life carrying exactly this kind of difficult truth about themselves, about someone else, about situation you're involved in, about reality that's different than what you think it is. They see you operating under false assumptions. They watch you making decisions based on incomplete information. They know they should tell you, but they also know telling you will hurt you. Their care for you creates their paralysis about informing you. Still, others are struggling with requests or needs. They need something from you, need your help, your support, your forgiveness, your understanding, your permission. But asking feels vulnerable, feels like burden, feels like it might change how you see them, feels like it reveals weakness or need they'd prefer to keep hidden. So they suffer alone rather than ask. They struggle silently rather than voice what they need from you. This reflection invites you to consider, which type of difficult communication would you most want someone to finally deliver to you? Let me clarify what doesn't know how to tell you specifically reveals about their internal state. Doesn't know how means they've tried and failed repeatedly to find acceptable approach. They've considered direct and indirect, considered serious conversation and casual mention, considered text and call and in person, considered preparing you first and just saying it suddenly. Every method seems flawed. Every approach seems like it will create the outcome they're trying to avoid. So they stay stuck, unable to move forward, unable to go back, unable to stay in this suspended state indefinitely, but unable to find exit from it. In the exhaustion of sustained communication paralysis, they're likely feeling multiple contradictory things, frustrated with themselves for not being brave enough, anxious about your potential response, desperate for relief that speaking would bring, terrified of consequences that speaking might create, guilty about withholding if withholding is hurting you, protective of themselves or you or both. The internal experience is complicated and draining. It's essential you understand that their struggle to tell you isn't necessarily about weakness, it's about the stakes. People who can easily communicate casual things often struggle deeply with consequential things. The more something matters, the harder it is to speak. The higher the stakes, the more paralysis can occur. Their difficulty delivering message to you is actually a measure of how much the message matters, of how much you matter, of how much the outcome matters. Some people struggling to communicate are waiting for perfect moment when you're most receptive, when circumstances are optimal, when they feel most brave, when stars align. But perfect moment rarely comes. Circumstances stay imperfect. Courage stays incomplete. They keep waiting, and waiting becomes permanent state, becomes excuse that protects them from risk of actually speaking. You might have someone waiting for exactly this mythical perfect moment with you. Meanwhile, months pass, years possibly. The unsaid thing sits between you, creating distance or tension or missed opportunity. They're waiting for perfect harms more than imperfect speaking would harm, but they can't see that yet. Can't overcome the belief that right timing will somehow make difficult conversation less difficult. Others are struggling because they've tried and failed before. They started to tell you and you changed subject. They hinted and you didn't pick up hint. They created opening and you didn't walk through it, whether intentional or accidental. Your previous responses taught them that telling you is difficult or unsafe. So now they're more paralyzed, more convinced they can't successfully communicate what needs communicating. This reflection invites you to consider: have you made it difficult for someone to be vulnerable with you without realizing it? Let me address what "but I'm going to tell you" suggests about revelation. "I'm going to tell you" means what they haven't found words for. I'm finding words for. What they're struggling to deliver is less than #0, 5 hash, is greater than "I'm delivering." Not the exact content necessarily, not their specific words, but the essence, the truth they're holding, the information you need, the awareness that serves you, even though they can't figure out how to give it to you directly. I'm bridging gap. They can't bridge themselves. In the role of intermediary awareness, sometimes truth reaches us through indirect channels, through reading like this one, through mutual friend, through circumstance that reveals what person couldn't reveal, through our own intuition that picks up what's being concealed. The universe, or spirit, or consciousness itself seems to have ways of ensuring important information eventually reaches us, even when human delivery fails. It's important you pay attention to what you're sensing beneath surface interactions, to what you're picking up that isn't being said explicitly, to the energy people carry that contradicts their words, to your gut feelings about situations or people that logic can't explain. Often we know what we're not being told. We feel it, we sense it. We just don't trust our sensing enough to name it. This reading is invitation to trust what you already suspect. Some revelations coming through indirect channels are about romantic interest. Someone likes you, someone wants you, someone is attracted to you. They haven't said it, they're struggling to say it, but it's there, it's real, it's affecting their behavior around you in ways you might be noticing without consciously identifying. The awkwardness, the attention, the nervousness, the way they show up, all communicating what their words can't communicate yet. You might already know on some level who this is, who's carrying unspoken attraction, who's struggling to confess feelings, who wants more than what currently exists between you. Your intuition has been picking up signals. Now you're being asked to acknowledge what you've been sensing, to consider whether you want to create opening for them to speak, or whether you want to gently close door they've been standing in front of uncertainly. Others are about difficult truths. Someone is hiding something, someone made mistake, someone is struggling with something, someone needs help. Again, you might already sense this, might have noticed changes in their behavior or energy, might have wondered if something is wrong, might have asked and been told, "I'm fine," well knowing fine is lie. Whew, this is confirmation. Something is there, they're just not ready or able to tell you directly yet. This reflection invites you to consider: what have you been sensing that you've been dismissing as imagination? Let me speak to what you should do with this awareness. Create safety for difficult conversations. Let people in your life know you can handle truth, that vulnerability is welcome, that imperfect delivery won't be judged, that you'd rather know difficult things than be protected through ignorance, that your response to honesty will be more gracious than your response to deception or withholding. Give people permission to struggle through saying hard things rather than requiring polished, perfect communication. In the practice of being safe person to be vulnerable with is less than #0. 5 hashes greater than you. Reduce others' paralysis about communicating with you. You make it easier for truth to reach you. You create conditions where people struggling to speak feel more capable of speaking. not by demanding confession, by being receptive to confession if and when it comes, by not punishing honesty, by handling difficult information with maturity that rewards the courage it took to deliver. It's critical you examine whether you've been contributing to communication paralysis around you. Do you react poorly to vulnerability? Do you judge people for their struggles? Do you make it unsafe to admit weakness or need or confusion? Do you require perfection in how people express themselves? Do you punish imperfect delivery? If yes to any of these, you might be why someone can't figure out how to tell you what they need to tell you. Some people reading this need to actively invite the communication, to create explicit opening, to say directly, if there's something you've been wanting to tell me, I'm ready to hear it. To make the asking easier by doing some of the work, by taking vulnerability risk first, by showing you can be trusted with tender things. This isn't forcing confession. This is removing barriers to confession for someone who wants to confess but can't find way. Others need to simply stay aware and patient, to know someone is struggling and give them time, to not force, to not demand, to let them find their words and their courage and their moment, to be consistently safe so when they're ready, you're still there and still receptive. Sometimes best thing you can do for someone struggling to communicate is just be steady presence they can eventually speak to when they're finally able. This reflection invites you to consider, how can you make it safer for people to be honest with you? This person doesn't know how to tell you. Someone is paralyzed trying to find right words or right moment or right approach. But I'm going to tell you, the essence reaches you through this reading, even though they can't deliver it directly yet. Listen carefully. Pay attention to what you've been sensing, to who's been struggling around you, to truth that wants to surface but hasn't found channel yet. And your work is receptivity, creating safety for difficult conversations, being person people can risk vulnerability with, trusting your intuition about what you're not being told directly, staying patient with those who struggle to speak, making space for imperfect delivery, responding to honesty with grace that rewards the courage honesty requires, not forcing confession, but being ready to receive it if and when it comes. May you hear what's being communicated beneath words. May you create safety for difficult truths. May you trust what you sense even without proof. May you respond to vulnerability with honor. Someone struggles to speak. Truth presses toward you